Hey, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with Michael Fortinberry. Michael, it's great to connect with you. I'm looking forward to chatting about your business. You're the co-founder and president of Protiv, protiv.com. 3 decades of experience working in technology and construction and in the real estate industries. And looking forward to talking about how your company is a worker incentive program that according to your website and you, it actually works. so
Thank you.
yeah, so let's dive in. Every time I'm a business coach and I work with people who are successful and stuck, and I work with them to get them unstuck. And so, where's an area that people are stuck when it comes to just overall incentive programs within their company?
I think they get stuck at the culture level.
Mm,
The reality is if you think about growing a company and breaking out of kind of your own shadow, a lot of contractors struggle to grow out of their own shadow. If they're not at the job site, they're not sure what's happening. Well, the anchor of that evolution comes from your culture. Do you create an environment where you have the authenticity, the communications, the focus on growth, the focus on your people as a cultural structure so that your company is successful if you're not staring at what's happening?
yeah.
You could be doing something else and that company is successful and moving the direction you want it to go when you're not there. And we see people get stuck there all the time at stages of their growth.
Yeah. It's interesting when you talk about culturally and people get stuck. It's kind of like what I find as a business coach is sometimes they're just stuck in the lineage of what was, and so sometimes paying attention to figuring out where change needs to happen takes a little space and time to find that space, get feedback, listen to your people, really look at it. And so how would you suggest people kind of relook at how they're doing things, relook at their culture, kind of, with new eyes and new ears.
I would always start, the first thing we always want to understand with culture, start with a question of authenticity.
Yeah,
I think sometimes we have an idea of what our culture is, but when we look at what we do in practice, it's different. If you're not authentic about who you are, regardless of what that is, that will break the initiatives that you think you're trying to implement to adjust and evolve your culture, your operations, etc.
yeah,
So start with, for example, if you're like, all right, I really care about my people and I care about their families, but the reality is on Thursday afternoon, if we've got a job to finish, Bob, I know your kid's baseball game is this evening, but we got to finish the work, right? Now, maybe that's okay. Maybe that is what your culture is. Your culture's focused on we put our work first and then we take care of our families. But if your culture is, no, I want you to get to your kid's baseball game, but then you don't deliver upon that
yeah,
operationally, it's a disconnect. So start with authenticity.
yeah, yeah. Walking the talk. I like that. I think it's great. Let me ask you a question. I mean, the way you're speaking about things, it seems so simple, it's complicated. But sometimes we don't always start that way. And I think that there's lessons along the way that, that gave us the it gave us the path to feeling like we can be authentic, that that you can talk about authenticity, that you can talk about, hey, go to your game. But what was one lesson on your path that you learned to actually walk the talk versus just have the talk?
Yeah, I got this from the military. My experience in the military was profound, and it was very much a servant leadership instructional model. That is how the military leads. You lead from the front, you do the job yourself, and then you teach others to do it. And I think that caring for the people around you and serving them is kind of the first manifestation of what I've always wanted to build in terms of culture. Do you care for your people? Do you genuinely, honestly want them to be successful? I forget where the quote comes from, but I think it's Zig Ziglar actually, was this quote about if you help enough other people get what they want, you can get anything you want.
Yeah,
And I feel like we need to ensure that our efforts are helping our people to be successful, right?
yeah,
And so I think for me, that was my anchor in that 10-year experience of of the way that the military teaches service to your teammates, service to your folks.
Well, thank you for your service. I appreciate it. I love the topic of servant leadership. I've interviewed a couple times Howard Behar, who was the former president of Starbucks, and he talks a lot about servant leadership. And he's been a great, I mean, I've interviewed him a couple times, and a mentor from afar, and a mentor that because I've just taken so much from him. And so, when you think about servant leadership, who was a specific mentor that you could really point to, and what did they teach you the most about servant leadership?
Yeah, there. I've been fortunate to have several different really powerful people that I've worked with, people who had net worths that were measured with B's, and in particular, I think Steve Wynn was a good example. I worked for Steve at a company called RealPage, and Steve was one of these guys. One, he had a work ethic that just didn't stop, right? So whatever you were doing, he was ready to work harder. And the guys, can buy and sell small countries, and yet there he is Saturday morning in the office, because he cared deeply about what we were building, and he was willing to be there with you and help you be successful. He was challenging, and I like that. I like leaders who challenge you to do better because they believe in you,
Yeah.
right? And Steve would, he's not an easy boss to work for, but you knew he wanted you to win. He wanted you to be successful. And I took a lot from that. His ability to ask another question and another question, to dig deeply into how you perceive a problem or an
Yeah.
opportunity, was really impactful for me. And I've tried to carry a lot of that forward.
Yeah. As a business coach, I talk a lot about that. If you're ask you you control the conversation by asking questions. A
Yes.
lot of times people think, for example, even selling or leading is telling, and it's not. It's really asking questions. We're all
I
kind of detectives in a way,
couldn't agree more.
trying to get to the bedrock root of what we're talking about.
Yep.
I think it's great. I think it's great. All right, let's do a little mini business course on Protiv, right? A worker
Sure.
incentive program that actually works. If you go to protiv.com, that's what it says. Finally, a solution that directly links your project budgets to team incentives and worker level visibility, tracking and rewarding, and rewards that create real motivation. It's great. All right. So, what are three things, or what are three reasons why people should use your product?
First and foremost is it creates alignment between the field workers and management. We frequently have incentive programs for our mid-management teams, for our office teams. They've got bonus programs, quarterly incentives, whatever. But how do you push an incentive to the people doing the work in the field? How do I get a painter, a plumber, a carpenter, a roofer to come to work and care about how the job progresses, right? How do I get them to bring not just their back, but their brain? I
Yeah.
want them to be engaged. And if I can do that, what I want to do is create alignment of incentives. I want them to be rewarded when the project goes well. So, and it needs to be automatic. We've learned that incentives at the worker level, we're talking about guys who are, blue collar workers making under $75,000 a year, it needs to be transparent. So they need to be able to see it. And it needs to be simple so they can understand exactly how they make more money. It
Yeah.
needs to be frequent. It can't be an end of year bonus. They don't think like that. What do I do on Tuesday that makes me more money on Friday? I mean, you can connect those pieces, make it visible to them. That's where you start to unlock their brain.
Yeah.
And that really has been our kind of focus. The second is that we create better recruiting and retention. If we can create an environment where you have an incentive based compensation model for a construction company or landscaping company, then what we've done is we've given you a new tool to go recruit in the best people and retain the best people you have, because it's a competitive job market, right? I need to bring my best playbook to the table when I'm trying to get the best workers. So we have about 750,000 worker shortfall in the U.S. right now in construction and trade industries. So you're not going to get enough people without, again, having a strong offering to them. So the combination of good company culture and incentive program, we think is really powerful. And the third is the culture side of it, which I keep coming back to. When you launch incentive programs and pay performance type programs, they need to be a cultural step forward, not just a software program. So what you're trying to do is embed within the organizational thinking and personality, the culture of it, an approach that if we collectively win, that you guys are going to make money, we're going to make more money. Everybody's on the same side of the table. That means talking about budgets more. It means talking about it, money with workers, and sometimes that's not normal. And we try
Yeah.
to make that easy to do.
Yeah, I love what you're talking about. Just to recap: alignment, recruiting, retention, culture. I just want to talk about retention. I think that
Yes.
is, that's a big piece right now because the average person kind of stays at a job 2 3 years. And so we got to almost hire knowing that. But if we can kind of bookend everything you're talking about, being authentic, being in alignment, um, uh, paying attention to the culture, then we can retain our people longer. I think a lot of times people
Yeah.
forget that word, right? It's about recruiting, training, and retaining, and the retaining piece is an ongoing piece.
Well, you can, the simple thing is to look at the cost of recruiting and cost of a new employee is it's crazy expensive.
Yeah,
Just I don't care what business you're in. The other thing is that in our industry, in construction in particular, landscaping, you can lose a worker for a couple bucks an hour if you're not careful.
yeah,
Somebody may have been with you for 3 or 4 years, who knows your pace, knows your customers, knows your product, delivers your service, and all of a sudden, well, what happened to Bob? Well, Bob got $2 an hour somewhere else. Let's create an environment where Bob will never leave because he controls some of his own destiny. Not every employee we hire wants to be the CEO. For those that do, you need to have a path and a growth model for them. But some people just want to master their craft and master their work life balance. But they do want to be able to have some control over where they go financially in their
yeah.
future. So let's give that to them. And if someone comes to your office and says, "Hey, John, I want to get a raise," the only thing you know is that your cost just went up if you say
Right.
yes to that. But what if you could give them the raise because of how they perform? So your value that you're getting from them is going up with the compensation.
I love it. Thanks for that. So what are a company goes to Protiv, they purchase the product. What are they going to see? What are the results?
So
What's the attitude shift? What's the connection? What are they going to
yeah.
see?
Well, from a mathematical standpoint, we actually just pulled some a big data dump the other day and did this analysis. We've had about 24,000 jobs run through our software. Our average worker wage increase is 11.8%. So
Wow.
workers on our program are making 11.8% more per hour than they were making before. The productivity lift is just shy of 18%. The delta is actually going to the pockets of the companies. So labor costs are actually down. Worker wages are up at the same time because of the lift in productivity. And that's across quite a few different trades now. We've got everything from commercial electricians to mom and pop landscaping companies, road building companies, concrete, painters, remodel companies. They're hourly workers. They're on a labor budget. We can create an incentive program that changes behavior.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And I think that there's also, I mean, what I love about your product is, people like to be recognized. And I think sometimes people and leaders and managers discount that a little bit. I hear a lot, well, why do they always have to hear they're doing a great job? Why do they always have to, have me check it? Well, because that's what they want. It's
Yeah.
like, don't fight it, surrender to it. People want to be recognized, they want to be seen, they want to be told they're doing a good job, they want to be told, they want to be given feedback, they want to know how they can grow and be a better version of themselves and show up to work and do a great job and feel connected to their manager. I'm a big believer people don't leave companies, they leave managers. And if a manager can look at something like this and create an incentive program and connect more deeply with their people, I think it's a great solution, Michael.
Yeah, John, I found that our employees, when you see the program, they get into it, they start to talk about it. The behavior change is really what we're looking for, right? It's not just about paying an incentive program. It's that I want a behavior change. But think about what that behavior change represents. It represents their beginning to care and communicate with each other. we don't see production lifts because people start rushing around. We see it because they communicate better, they work as a team better. It's a team-based bonus incentive program, so
Yeah.
they're they're interested in helping their coworkers to lift the boat kind of thing, and that teamwork side has been really kind of great to watch. You know what our favorite elements is the leaderboards, the rankings where we you can literally rank who is getting the best bonuses, and we
Yeah.
encourage companies to talk about it. Who's really overperforming? Who's the teammate you want? Uh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a lot of fun seeing that evolve.
It's great. All right. Let's do a quick speed round. Tell me a book that's had a big impact on you.
I don't know if you ever read The Path Between the Seas. It's a really cool book about the building of the Panama Canal. If you ever think you've got a hard job, go read that book. Job's not that hard.
The
So
Path Between the
very
Seas.
Path Between the Seas. Yeah, very, very, very
Good.
cool story of the building of the Panama Canal. Unbelievable what they were able to pull off in that environment back
All
in the
right.
day.
All right. Good. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received, Michael.
Uh, Perseverance,
Yeah.
single word. Don't stop. Don't give up.
Yeah.
You're still going and you fall down and you can't go any further. Just get up and keep going, and
Yeah. I
you're more
love it.
likely to win.
Finish your sentence. Last question. One thing everybody can do to get more in alignment with their passion and product is,
Get more alignment with your passion, your product. Know what is that? Know thyself.
yeah,
And I think we sometimes miss the opportunity to understand ourselves and make sure that what we're doing in life is aligned with who we really are. So be authentic with yourself about the things that matter to you, about what you're willing to go do, even if you're not getting paid to do it.
yeah,
And you will find a level of passion for building something that is materially different than if you're out of alignment with yourself.
it's great. It's great. Michael, this was great. I appreciate your time and your insights. Love
Hey,
what your
John.
company is doing and just kind of the the energy that you're bringing to the table. In community, I always like to extract at least one thing from our talk. And Michael, what I'll suggest is that you're talking about culture and alignment are so important. And doing a daily check-in to make sure you're in sync with your team, your leadership team, um, your clients, your prospects are all so important as we grow our business, especially in today's world that's it's getting noisier and more crowded, and we're having to make kind of those 2 degree shifts a little bit more now than ever before to make sure that we're staying ahead of real time with where our market is and going. So I appreciate your insights. Tell everybody where they can connect with you, learn more about you and your contact
Sure.
information.
Michael at protiv.com is my direct email. I'm happy to talk with folks about what we've built, or they just are building a company and they just want to know about our journey to start a software company. I'm happy to share that. It's really hard, by the way, and I'm happy to tell that story if someone's interested in our product. Protiv, protiv.com.
It's great. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for taking time to talk with me and the Think Community. And Think Community, if you want to talk about any business coaching, you can reach me at jondwoskin.com. Michael, stay on a bit. Thanks so much. This was great.